What is up, people?
Yo, fam, I'm in my gritter hat.
Sorry for the day. We're
Let's
both in our
go.
gritter hats. You don't need those if
I
you
don't
don't
need
want.
these. What in the hell am I doing?
Hey,
Hi,
everyone.
friends. How are you today? Happy Sunday.
Hope we're coming through loud and clear. Give us a little like if we are. Yell at us in the chat if we're not.
Let us
we got a
know.
few folks in here.
Do you want to be distracted from the Sunday sads? Do you have the Sunday sads? Do you want to just feel the Sunday sads? You can feel them with us.
I want to know about what the great Hallie and Gray think about Aurora Borealis. Oh, that's fun.
Oh man, I was really hoping we would see some.
I know. Not in LA.
Our friends who
With
live in the
Tiffany.
south of Wales, it looked like the sky was purple at night. Is that just the way it photographs, or does it look like that, where it's actually
Yeah,
purple?
chime in if you saw them. People were posting some amazing pictures in the Discord that I was envious of. If you want to jump in the chat too, sub to the channel. Hey Joanna, hey Tiffany, hey Moto,
Hi,
Megan,
friends.
Adam,
Man,
Elise.
I've always wanted to see the green northern lights, and now they're already turning purple, and I never even saw the green.
I think
I want to
that
go to
the pictures I
Iceland.
think make them look cooler. Am I correct in that? That if you have certain exposure, you're catching more of the
Ooh,
northern
Elise
lights.
saw them in Massachusetts. Oh, wow.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I want to see them. That is something that I
I've
really
never.
truly want
Have
to
you ever
see.
seen them in real life? I
Never
haven't
seen.
either, and I've always wanted to. I really want to go to Iceland, even though, well, they used to say that Reykjavik and parts of Iceland were like so expensive, where like a
Yeah.
cup of coffee is like $10 or something.
Not a cup of coffee. Here's some
I know now it's like
cup
that,
of coffee.
a cup of coffee. But
That's a deep cut. Anybody remember Cup of Coffee episode?
Josh Rubin of horror film fame. I love Josh Rubin.
Josh Rubin has a movie coming out very soon.
He's a ding dong.
Let's see. Yeah, Northern Lights in Alaska. I definitely want to see that.
Oh, to Maine.
I know
Megan,
Caitlin remembers. I know Elise remembers.
And Megan, Greg and I both lived in Maine on different summers. I was part of the first ever cast of Improv Acadia in Bar Harbor, Maine. Went and did improv for a summer, doing improv shows at night for tourists. Lots of lobster object work.
Lots of lobster rolls.
But I lived in Maine. I lived in Bar Harbor for a summer, or actually Ellsworth.
We lived in Ellsworth and worked in Bar Harbor.
And then
Ellsworth was not Bar Harbor.
And then Greg did Bar Harbor the next summer.
Yep.
And I gave him a reference. You asked if I would give you a reference, and I like sang your praises. I was like, you guys should totally hire this guy. He's great. He'll deliver every single time. He's really funny.
We weren't even dating yet.
And they hired you. I think that was kind of how we started talking to each other as individuals, was because you asked me to do that in Maine. We'd never really talked besides like as
maybe what because I asked you for a reference. Here's something that I really love about
is GarageBand.
GarageBand. It just like sometimes it will just disappear things, and it's really not a great thing to record on. Anyway, talk for a second, Holly.
Talk. Test. Wait,
So
I have to see, what are you saying in the chat? 1 second, my friends, my sweet babies.
So if this is your first time doing a live stream with us, welcome to you most especially. We will get some suggestions from the Patreon. If you want to be a Patreon member, the link is in the bio. We are trying to get to 420 Patreon members. It's not it's not quite there. We can't quite get it over the hump. I know everybody here is probably a Patreon member. We got close, but then we lost some people.
Oh, dang.
So we're at 409. We went down.
So we need 11 more.
We need 11 to get to a stream where we're going to get baked and do an episode of Mega as our characters. So if you want to watch that train wreck, it's just going to be for Patreon members and the Patreon.
I wonder what a heavy dose of cannabis would make Hallie like. Like, is it going to make her more Hallie-ish or less? Will it chill her out?
Possibly. There we go. Okay. Got it. Bizarre. Okay. Do we want to touch on some of these? Suggestions that we got? Just give us a little Cliff's Notes.
Oh, also, I wanted to ask y'all while you're here, may I bend your ear? Greg and I were talking right before
Bend me your ear.
we got on. Oh yeah, Hallie did have her daughter's brownies. And it made her munchy and it made her like feel happy and like herself, right?
Right.
I don't know where I get that stuff. But we were talking right before we got on here about whether or not we want to hear Hallie and Gray fucking talk about anything like real life politics stuff. I know we've like always come out, of course, they're in support of that orange evil speaking yam. And but right before this we were like, do we just not want to, like, if we don't put politics stuff in, then the episodes are more evergreen.
Right.
It might make them feel dated, but also like you don't want to hear these dipshits talk about the dipshittery, right? Should we just avoid politics?
Let's avoid it for this week. I'm just a little bit taxed.
I can't even think about it without becoming apoplectic, y'all, and I'm kind of serious.
This can be a political reprieve.
Okay. Is there bingo today?
I was going to say, please no JD Vance. Yeah.
No shit, man. I'm just like, I don't even want to think about these fuck faces. None of them. And I was just with my niece. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Oh,
y'all.
we've had our niece here for our freshman college niece here for 5 days.
Today might be punchy. I'm going to give you fair warning and I'm going to apologize in advance.
Why?
I might be punchy today. I like haven't slept. My goddamn niece is coming in at 4 a.m. every night, or not at all. The other night she didn't even come home, and I'm like, "Oh Jesus, take the wheel and drive me to a bar." It's 8 a.m. and this girl is not back home yet. So I feel like I haven't slept in days, and I feel like my brain doesn't work usually on a good day. But if I haven't had sleep, this burnt noodle of mine, friends.
Well, let's see what happens with it.
Good Lord. And it was so interesting too to see like what 20-year-olds want to do.
I know.
Shit, man.
And now that we're now that she's in college, we kind of just have to be like, well, you can do what you want. So, used to be, we tried to be the cool aunt and uncle. So, and I think we accomplished that.
Aw, thanks, Joanna Bananas. That we make generational trauma not so bad. That's one of the hard things about being around my niece is that, whoa,
good Lord,
I see her in like parts of like trauma I've been like now working through, and I see her like deep in it, and I'm just sort of like, oh man, you're really gonna have to like probably unpack a lot of this someday. But I don't say anything, obviously. Like I really let her take the wheel, because I realized that even the ways in which I want to try to like help her or like plant little like thought seeds in her mind, like I would notice I would be kind of like trying to
brainwash her,
model certain things for her, and I'm like, oh man, that's non-consensual on like I'm just like, shut up, listen, talk, let the level be at the level she wants to talk about. Because she's saying that like my parents constantly, she's a freshman at Utah, and my parents, the only correspondence they have with her is like sending her information about like the Christian clubs and the Bible studies on campus. And they're like, please go to these. And as she was like, I finally just started lying to them and telling them that I am. Right. And that sort of hurt my heart. Cause like also just that culture of learning to lie.
Yeah. But I lied to my parents about going to Christian shit too.
I know.
Oh, it's like, yeah, I found a church.
But also just the learning to lie thing like breaks my fucking heart. And also I was realizing that at the essence of any of that conversion stuff or witnessing to someone or asking them to go to, like Christian clubs at college, or like, what was the sports one? Athletes for
Christian Fellowship of
Christian Athletes, all that stuff. That like, there is a coercion to trying to convert someone to a belief system that is non-consensual, and that it, at its essence, is saying, I know better than you, and you in the way you exist in the world right now as you are is not acceptable to me. And that is so fucking abusive, man. I
Yep.
mean, is abusive too strong of a word? It just fucking sucks. That's the right word for it. So but I realize like I'm as guilty of it too, because I'll try to like, you know, I don't know. I would catch myself even doing things like, here's what you need to do. Go to the college campus health center, ask for this kind of steroid for your cough. Like
I know.
I'm like always trying to like fix her or do something. And I'm like, oh God, just let her be. But y'all, when I just let her be, she doesn't even come home at night. And they took us to Dave and Buster's. My nephew.
Oh my God, we went to Dave and Buster's.
My nephew's a scammer.
I've never been to a Dave and Buster's. That was talk about trauma. I was traumatized.
My nephew's a scammer, and so he hacked this like system to get these free passes for Dave and Buster's, and I felt like it was he was like proud to be like, hey, I did this for you and I'm going to treat you, Holly and Greg, I'm going to take you. And we're like, we don't really want to go there or do any of that stuff. And then I was like, wait, why am I being like that? So we're like, yes. So
I don't mind taking an hour of free play and an appetizer off of Dave and Buster's on however you figured out how to do
I didn't
that.
even realize that we were rolling up with like these fake scam codes and like all scanning ourselves in for a free hour of games. And then we all sat down we each got a free appetizer. He had just hacked all this stuff and he was like treating us. And we did have fun. Greg set the top score ever at that Dave and Buster's for Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man. And he tried to put his name in as Donovan Gio too, but it didn't let us.
I put, yeah, I got it. I got D in and then it's cut off or something.
But then we sit down and we each order an appetizer, and then we're each going to use our link. That's like a hacked code.
I mean,
and then the people knew we were scamming them, and I was at one point just like,
can we just pay for
it? Like, I'll just pay for the 4 appetizers, man. Which even that in this goddamn town is over $100. Like, this food is crazy.
Well,
shut up.
I guess I don't know. I don't know if it was specifically a scam. It was like that his friend had gotten. I don't know what
it was. Honestly, scam. He kept saying I'm a scammer, and
yeah, it was basically like exploiting a weakness in the system that was awarding people an hour of free play. Anyway, Dave and Buster's was a nightmare, and I felt like everything was covered in a thin film of disgust. Yeah, we definitely exploited the weakness. Here's the bingo card if anybody wants to play bingo today. We got a climax pin for you. I know a lot of you have won. We've sent you them. I hope you got them. We just sent the stickers from last week and the climax pin. That's it. You can win it. Let's you want to just give them the highlights, or do you want to?
Yeah, we have some good suggestions in the Patreon this week.
Okay, cool.
And I'll set you up if you want to talk about some climax.
Oh, thank Joanna.
Yeah, and you know what, Joanna, you're right. You are okay how you are in the world as you are, and I am, and you are, and you are, and you are, and you are. We don't have to. I'm putting myself to sleep. Okay, here we go. We didn't get to this one last week, so I'm going to roll it over to this week about you having cut ties with your family in Australia.
Okay. I don't remember a lot of what Grace says about his family.
Since you've cut ties with them, you looking into becoming an American citizen.
Okay.
I'll talk about that type of stuff.
Okay.
Like rules of the road of how to become an American. Climax Halloween. Hallie finds a religious trauma support group that her daughters have checked out, so she's thinking about infiltrating. This will be like Alex Edelman infiltrating the the Nazi meeting. This will be like Hallie infiltrating the deconstruction meeting.
Okay. Yeah, Gray doesn't say much about his family, just his Uncle Nevis.
Australian delicacies.
Okay.
Has Gray ever described the Australian delicacies he remembers his mom bringing to the potluck as a child? I don't think we say potluck. We just say bring a plate.
That's from an Australian listener.
Chime in, Aussies.
Okay.
How could Gray make them keto and paleo? Pavlova with no sugar, just baked beaten egg white, or baked or baked lamingtons for his gym bros who are shredding and calls them Manningtons.
Okay.
And his recipe TikToks start trending as recipe fail, even though he thought they were a success because everything is God's plan.
Okay. Try to. Okay.
Summarize them more.
Yeah. What?
So delicacies. Oh, one about kids going to a satanic temple. One about the Lord's Supper because it's like alcohol and carbs.
Okay.
And
Somebody asked something in the Instagram about
Ben.
Halloween, so I can do something about
Okay, do
that.
something to Halloween. And then there's something here about like the best seats. Do they get reserved? I think we did say there was a VIP section.
Yeah.
In the auditorium, but we'll talk about how like we have these great padded
Theater seats for sale.
Yeah, we have these like padded theater seats, and maybe people can like get their names on them in plaques. Like
We're doing a capital. What is it? A capital raise right now.
Like you would do at Wrigley Field. You know how you would sit in a chair and there would be a little bronze plaque on the seat that was like, "This belongs to the Farmingtons."
Yep.
And that we can do that for the seating in the auditorium.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right, we're gonna improvise an episode. Smash that like if you have a second. It helps us.
Caitlin, you just got a Climax tee. I saw that there was a
Oh, is there a sale right now?
A Climax sale. And what color t-shirt did you get it on? Did you get it on the classic black? What did you get it on? Because I'm thinking of getting that one put on a white one. Because
we do have a great TeePublic is a good deal when stuff goes on sale there. I think there's like a 35% sale right now.
The 35 is good. I usually wait for that sale.
Yeah. So if you're in there and want to buy a mega shirt, actually, I think I can send
breakfast. I want to make a crew neck sweatshirt, cropped crew neck sweatshirt with
a good
that
way
breakfast with that breakfast on the front.
A good way to also get a good deal is if you actually in our link tree that's in our show notes and everything here. There's a link. There is a link to our.
That's cool.
There's a link to our TeePublic store. You can just use that, and it'll give you the affiliate link or whatever the hell is going on these days. I don't know how it all works, folks. We're just trying to make a little money out here.
Pretty sure the VIP section was set up by Paul Scheer's character. Yes.
Yeah.
Paul Scheer was a valet.
No, Paul Scheer was like the head of the VIP like services or something. Ithamar was a valet.
Yeah. Yeah, a VIP section. I forgot Paul Scheer did it.
That's right.
He's so funny. I love him.
Mega idea, Mega on the front. I got your back on the back.
Aww.
Got your back. Let's improvise.
I got your back.
Okay, folks. And we've got y'all's backs. My mom always said she spent her whole life just having her kids lose things and picking things up. And on her grave, she wants her grave to say, "Look behind you," which I think is so funny. That if you're, because you'd always be like, always look behind you. You're going to leave your jacket or something. I think a grave with "look behind you" is so funny.
Think about how terrified you'd be if you're like walking through a cemetery and you look down at a grave.
Yeah.
And look behind you.
Okay, here we go.
Hiya, I'm Hallie Labont, and this is Mega, coming to you from Twin Hills Community Church, where every single week we're giving our Mega Church a tiny family feel. We love to introduce you to members of our... Should I start that over? Here we go.
Don't lose your Hallie voice.
I know. Pew, pew. Hiya, I'm Hallie Labont, and this is Mega, coming to you from Twin Hills Community Church, where every single week we're giving our Mega Church a tiny family feel. We love to introduce you to members of our church staff, people from our community, and I always find it to be a treat and a treasure. And per usual, I'm joined by my co-host. He's the youth pastor for our high school ministry called Climax. Please welcome Gray Haas.
J to the hay, because he is the way. Hallie, how are you?
Bless, my brother. Way too blessed to be stressed, way anointed to be disappointed, and way too grateful to be hateful. I just feel like the Lord is doing great things. He always is, but really a lot lately.
Oh, I know. And you know what, Hallie? I forgot to hit record.
Uh, yes.
Ooh, we can't have kids because one weekend with a college student completely destroyed our ability to do anything.
I'm not doing the intro again.
You have to.
I could barely get through it that time.
You have to.
I think have we eaten anything today?
No.
I need like a handful of nuts or something.
We're just like sweating and
Do you need like a beef jerky or something?
no, I think we just have to do this and then we'll eat.
My brain. I'm so hungry. Can we get breakfast burritos after this?
Sure.
I'm getting hash browns at mine. Okay. They don't want to hear this again. I'm sorry, y'all.
Just do it. We have to.
Hiya, I'm Hallie Levant, and this is Mega, coming to you from Twin Hills Community Church, where every single week we're giving our mega church a tiny family feel. We love to introduce you to members of our church staff and people from our community, and I always find it to be a treat and a treasure. Today, we don't have a guest joining us because we're doing a special YouTube live stream with our Patreon friends who are giving us all the suggestions. I'm so happy to see you today. Joined per usual is my co-host, Gray Haas.
God is lit because he is the way, Hallie. How are you?
I would have said he's legit.
Oh, that's all. I like that. He is legit, low key.
Low key, totally legit.
Oh, it is impeccable, isn't it, Hallie? How legit and low key God is.
I've been hearing my kids use words that they're hiding the meaning from them of me. My daughters have been saying that's so husband of you, and I can't figure out what husband means.
Well, they say, oh, that's wife, that's husband. And I've encouraged them to use those words because honestly, Hallie, finding a husband or a wife from youth group is one of my top priorities. Number one, bring someone to Christ. Number two, set them up for a powerful, godly marriage. And a lot of times I've had, dozens and dozens of youth at this point meet in climax and eventually become married.
It's so cool when you get married young while, your skull isn't even really completely hardened yet. And you can be totally sold out for Christ. And you know what? You can grow up together in your marriage and discover who you are in Christ as you figure out who you are.
Well, you don't even need to figure out who you are, do you, Hallie? If you've got
true.
Jesus, then you've pretty much got it all figured out. So I like to, a lot of times teens will be like, well, what am I doing with my life? And I don't really know who I am yet. And I'm like, guess what? You don't even need to answer that once you've got Christ in your life. So don't worry about that stuff, that existential, what I often like to call BS. You know what I mean?
And you know what? God has a plan for your life. And that is not an anxiety inducing thought at all. In fact, it's a very peaceful thought because you're you know what?
It's all part of the plan.
Yep. God has a plan. And so I just have to, live as if I am in love with him, and then everything will fall into place.
Totally on fire.
Yeah.
So what's up, Hallie? What questions do we have from our Patreon folks?
Yeah, we have some people who have written in questions to us, and these can be conversation starters and just a way for the Spirit to move.
Great.
First, there's a question for you, Gray.
Oh, awesome.
Since Gray, it's directed towards me, Hallie. Since Gray has cut off ties with his family in Australia.
Why are they asking a question about me to you?
Well, let's see. Since Gray has cut off ties with his family in Australia and lived in the U.S. for years, isn't it time he looked into becoming a U.S. citizen?
Why are they asking you this?
Maybe you can give him a sisterly nudge in that direction. I'd love to. Help him with the interview questions and whatnot. Wouldn't settling down with a nice, pure Christian American woman help him with that process? The answer to that is yes.
Yes, absolutely. But first off, I don't really need Hallie's help in that department. I pretty much know everything there is to know about the questions that I would get on the citizenship test anyway. Right now, I'm under an what is called an A1 HBC HPV visa, and that is basically where I provide a service that no one can possibly provide. There's no American that can do what I do. And so I was brought from Australia by Steve, and I was shown to absolutely have a skill of, obviously winning teens to Christ, winning teens to Christ in a way that, unfortunately, a lot of American youth pastors weren't able to do. So Right now, I'm free and clear. I'm here on a 25-year visa, and I don't even have to renew it. It just, Steve's got some friends in government that have helped with that. So I haven't needed to take the citizenship test. I would maybe one day become an American citizen, probably when I get married to a beautiful woman, because I'm so excited to marry a sister in Christ. I mean, not my, you know what I mean. I'm looking for a wife. And right now, I'm a bit too busy to date. I have a lady friend, I would call her, in Tifa, but we're just really taking it slow. And I'm not sure if I've mentioned it before, but my friend Clay Mason Bannerman and I, we've got these two awesome twins that we're just prayerfully considering as wives as we speak.
But aren't you currently on a break with old Tiffer and Mickey? Mickey and Tiff, are they the same or are they diff?
Well, they're diff, and I would say, Hallie, that yes, we're on a break, but that's just because Clay and I needed time to really get on our knees, pray it out, and
Awesome.
see where God was leading us. Back to your original thing, what's the plan? And I kept going, God, what's the plan? What is the plan? Show me the plan. And the plan right now is take a break. I heard God say very clearly, slow down.
Oh, did you audibly hear the voice of God?
Well, yeah, do sometimes, Hallie, when I hear God speak, it's kind of a feeling that I get where, you feel God say, slow down, but you don't really hear
Oh.
those words, but you just like, kind of like, it's almost like it's like when you're eating at a buffet or something and you hear, you
Oh,
get
I'm
that feeling
listening.
of like, slow down.
Oh, yeah. Or take
So,
a Pepsid.
right. So right now we're just taking it slow, but I know everything I need to know about the citizenship test. I mean, you could ask me any question about all that and I would know it.
Oh, cool. Okay, how many branches of government do we have in the United States of America?
100.
Oh. Well, I mean, maybe if you're thinking about, all the different state legislatures and stuff, you know what? Actually, if there's a House and a Senate in all 50 states, you're not wrong. But I'm just the federal government, it's only 3. And the way
Okay.
you can remember that is how many people are in the Trinity.
I mean, Hallie, it doesn't matter. I don't really need to. I'm not right. I'm not at that point right now where I even need to worry about this
There's
stuff.
the legislative, there's
Okay.
the executive, and another one.
Well, you know what? All of those right now, I'm not really worried about that because I'm focused on bringing people to Jesus.
Oh, it's judicial. One of our branches are that the judges get to decide,
Well, we've won
the
that
fate
one,
of
didn't
the
we? We
citizens.
got the judges that we needed.
I was told there'd be no politics on this
I
one.
know. We've tried, but we're trying.
Is there anything else you want to know about so that you can pass the test and become a citizen? You know what? I hate to say it, but if you did marry Tiffer or another awesome American Christian girl, you would become a citizen that way because you get to be the citizenship of whoever you marry.
Yeah, that's very possible, and that's probably what I'll do.
Would you
'Cause
be
then
proud to be an American? Do you think it's the coolest country in the world?
absolutely. I mean, I'm kind of an American. I'm more American than a lot of Americans anyway, Hallie. Just kind of like through what I look like, my beliefs.
I don't even think you have an accent anymore. I don't hear
Oh,
it, and
really?
maybe it's just the way I don't hear it now in the same way that you don't see color. I don't hear an accent.
Yeah. Well, I'm also colorblind.
That's true. Red, green, colorblind?
Actually, I'm blue-black colorblind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and everything else ends up looking brighter.
Is that right?
Mhm.
Oh, wow. I've never heard of blue black.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder if a lot of cops get that one.
What do you mean?
Well, because they're blue.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, what's next, Hallie?
Okay. So I think this one is sort of timely, but people just were wanting to check in and hear what's on the agenda for Climax. I know Halloween is such a big time of year where, kids want to go running out to Universal, to the Hollywood Horror Nights, where all these out of work actors are now currently employed for a few nights to just run out and scare people and to celebrate murder and,
Well,
horror films and stuff.
I'm sure you know from Day and your daughter's Hallie that we are doing an awesome thing in Climax right now, and
Awesome.
that is a costume buyback program
Is
where
that
all the
right?
teenagers who, a lot of times they'll say, "Yeah, I'll come to Harvest Party, but then we're going to go trick or treating." I
Uh,
said, "Not this year." First, what I did is we did a youth event where I said, everybody is going to bring your costume, make your costume. We're going to really celebrate these costumes. It was a little bit of a switcheroo. What we did is, one of your daughters, was there, Hallie.
oh, really? Which one?
The one who dressed up like Rosie the Riveter,
Oh, yeah.
and
Second year in a row.
and who had a little lady friend be Barbie.
Oh, yeah, Brandy. She looks like Barbie. She doesn't even have to dress up like one. She's just a natural Barbie.
Yep. And so what we did is I said, bring your costume, put it on. We're going to do a little costume fashion show. And we
Awesome.
had the runway. And then when they got to the end of the runway, we played some music. We had a split. And on one side, you could walk down, get $100 cash if you took off your costume and threw it in the bin where we eventually incinerated them. Or you could go on the left side, and that ended up just being sort of well, funnily, I made it a 3-hour Bible study. And so basically we did this costume buyback program, and it was a smash hit, Hallie. I've got no teens doing Halloween this year because they've all got $100 in their pocket. And when they bought it back, they could eat all the candy they wanted.
It's like No Child Left Behind, but no teen at Halloween.
No teens at Halloween. So
Awesome.
it was great. And except for, except for your daughter, she ended up, I thought she did the costume buyback, but then afterwards she still looked like Rosie the Riveter. And I was like,
Yeah,
you
She
can get
just
rid of
dresses
that.
like that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just how
That's
she's
her
dressing.
style. It
Yeah.
looks like she thinks she's an engineer on an old coal train.
Oh, I know. Because she's kind of covered in smudge, and she's wearing coveralls.
She's got these pinstripe coveralls. She's got,
She's got like a thin grime about her, doesn't she?
yeah, she normally has a one of those shields in front of her face while she's welding.
She had that,
She's
but
in
it was
the
it was
welders
turned around
union.
backwards.
Yeah, she wears that now just like it's some kind of ball cap or
Yep.
something.
Yep.
Oh, and she also, you should check out the guns she's got on her.
Oh,
She
I know. Every
lifts it
time
up.
she's always going, "We can do it."
She's showing it to you, and she's got biceps, she's got triceps, she's got traps and lats, all that. I mean,
She was picking up Brandy and tossing her around like a rag doll.
I know the two of them are always wrestling and tickling, and just kids nowadays are much more touchy feely
I
and
know,
comfortable with their bodies. We are not really making them as uncomfortable as they should be in their own bodies, because if they get comfortable and think their body is a nice place to be, they'll invite other people to that party.
Oh, I know. Well, that's been a problem in Climax for years.
Is that right?
You just cannot take your eyes off them. And I've said, hands to yourself. And sometimes, and they will obey that. They'll keep the hands to themselves, and then they'll put their mouths places they shouldn't go. Anyway, we've got to
grieves
move
the
on.
heart of
It
God.
really does.
You know, I do want to say though about Halloween, I really think, a lot of Christians, some Christians act hysterical and dramatic and just see evil everywhere. And, it's not everywhere. Of course, Satan is real and he is roaming the earth.
Absolutely.
But, not everything. And I've come around on trick or treating, and here's why.
Oh,
It's a
really?
wholesome thing for kids to get out into the neighborhood. Satan is in a lot of things, but I don't see him in trick or treating. It's a family affair. The kids are mostly dressing up as cute Spider-Mans and, all kinds of things like that. And who doesn't want some free candy? You can't deny a kid that. It's a kid's greatest joy. It's happening around them everywhere they look. We can't ask a kid not to do that. I mean, one of my daughters is telling me that sugar in any form is poison that
Oh,
you
which
put in your
daughter?
body. The one who is now she's a ballerina. She's
Oh,
very femme.
oh,
She wears pink toe shoes. She wears them as her
as a
style.
costume?
She'll wear a tutu and long pink tights just as when she goes to Claire Boutique at the mall. I mean,
Really?
yeah, she's very femme. Um, which,
Well, good. I mean, you
definitely.
don't want, your other daughter that's like basically looks like she runs a trade union. I
I
think you got to
know.
be careful
She
with that.
does have her fingers always look dirty, her fingertips, even when they're clean.
Mm.
And she's asking me to get this orange scrub that has a grit in it because she's like got permanently stained fingers. Also, you should see my daughter's fingers. They look like alien fingers. They're the longest fingers. She can palm a basketball.
Really?
Yeah, she has, and they're all kind of the same length, and they're all like twice as long as normal people's
She
fingers.
does smell like that orange mechanic soap, and I every time she's around, that's what I was saying. She's kind of covered with a film, and I was thinking
Yeah, I got to go
maybe
to
you need to keep
Costco to
some
get
Goo
that.
Gone in the shower or something for
Yeah,
her.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have to go to Costco to get that big vat of it's got a turbo pump of this like orange grit, for like mechanic hands.
Right.
It's
Well, going back to trick or treating for a moment, Hallie, I don't want to give in to the pressures of the secular holiday because I think it stinks. And what I would say, and this happened a few years ago, where I think I can't remember who it was, but there were so many kids dressed up like demon, demonic sort of puppets and things like this that I mean, I knew members of the community that were thinking, "Hey, we should go round these guys up." You know what I mean? Just to make sure they're not actually doing, satanic stuff on the night of Halloween. And so I'd encourage adults to say, if you see a bunch of teens running around looking like a bunch of little satanic puppets, find a pen, find a yard, kind of corral them in there and try to keep them at least at bay until the night is over.
you gonna have a lock in on the actual 31st?
Yeah, like a lock up.
Lock them up.
Lock them up, lock them
And
down.
just give them candy, give them sugar, and let them bounce off the walls all night.
That's right.
Nice. Okay, next question. I did want to say that this reminds me because I'm looking at the upcoming questions. I did just want to say that I hope all of you listening, I hope you routinely check your children's phones, like I do to make sure that they're not, online in the porno and all that. So I routinely check their phones and I found in my daughter's phone that she had an Eventbrite a purchase that she had made to join a free, but you do have to get a ticket, but it's free, a religious trauma support group.
What? What does that even mean?
It's hard for me to even put those words together verbally, because it's such an anomaly. It's such a vulgar, wicked idea, to even consider something like that. And so I'm thinking about going. I'm thinking about infiltrating and going and acting like I'm a, secular mom, who's just I don't know. I don't
How
know
would you
what
even do that? What would your costume
I
be to be a secular mom?
I know.
Because I think, like, what do they even do?
Well, I could have cleavage or something. A lot of women who have as much as I do up top in the front, they show it off and get free stuff from it.
They do?
Yes,
Get
they
free stuff from where?
oh, anywhere. If you have big cleavage out or what one of my daughters calls a long line, a long line.
No, I don't even know what you're talking about.
If a woman has like a 6-inch line of,
What?
the line between the line.
The line?
The line between if
What is
you're
even the line?
hefting them up and if you're sticking them out,
What?
there's a long line.
What?
And I've got a
I've never even
10-inch
heard of
line on
this.
here, and so I could probably get free oil changes. I could never have to like carry my groceries out at Trader Joe ever again. I could have those Trader Joe guys jumping over the cheese stand to because I'll tell you what, people who work in grocery stores, and I don't know, I just want anyone listening to be careful, because people who work in grocery stores are turned on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Trader Joe's is just an absolute thirst trap. I hate it. It's a Sodom and Gomorrah of absolutely
I don't know
thirsty,
if it's the produce,
little,
the fresh food,
awful,
the access to
horned up
candy
23-year-olds who all went
work
to
in grocery stores are
liberal arts
horn
colleges.
dogs and horn bags.
And it just is. I don't go to Trader Joe's.
It's sick, and it grieves the heart of God.
But I mean, it's not. I think it's not really a Christian grocery
Whole
store.
Foods
anyway.
is worse. They're even more turned on at Whole Foods.
Who wants to go to Whole Foods?
It's nothing but a bunch of guys in aprons pole vaulting around on their own erections at Whole Foods.
Hey, guess what? I don't need a white guy with dreads telling me that, asking me what I'm doing this weekend. Anyway, I don't understand. So you're basically saying if you are going to go to a secular event, you're going to dress like a secular mom with cleavage. That's the costume.
I'll bring the girls out. I'll
Which daughters?
No, I might wear something a little tiny bit
revealing. I'm
because
sorry.
Because if I even show 2 inches of this 10-inch line I've got,
10 inches,
they're gonna think. They're gonna think.
I don't know how we got on this.
They're gonna believe that I'm secular.
Okay, I don't know how we got on this talking about religious trauma, which is totally made up anyway. But I don't want to. I don't want to hear any more about that. Howie.
To get into a religious trauma group, do you say I'm interested in Wiccan stuff? I don't understand what the thing is that they think is so, scary. And speaking of which, Gray, I know the kids have been talking, and I heard you talking to Steve about this in the leadership meeting this week, but that there's a satanic group in town that's trying to lure kids in with the same tactics like that you would use for a climax event. But it's a satanic like outreach program. They're meeting at the same time lately that Climax is meeting. They're offering super fun activities, and they're offering events that teach real actual life skills and critical thinking skills. It's called nadir or blue balls or something. It grieves the heart of God is what it is.
Do they meet in the forest preserve? Because that's where usually a lot of the Satanists go.
Well, my kids were telling me, I was saying the same thing. I'm like, if you go to a Satan meeting, they're going to, I don't know, they're going to probably have a fire there. They're going to be burning things. They might burn you. They might burn all your hair off. You want to show up Monday morning with just a singed scalp? Well, don't go to satanic meetings. But my kids were like, no, Mom, Satanism isn't even about worshiping Satan. Satanism is about loving yourself and believing in yourself and your own intrinsic goodness. And I was like,
what?
Well, guess who's the liar? Lucifer.
Yeah.
And guess what? Lucifer would tell you if he wanted to pull you out of Christendom. He would tell you to start loving yourself and that you're okay and that you're not a disgusting like sack of sin stain that needs to be redeemed by, somebody dying. There's a lot there. I don't want to get into all that, but of course Satan would just be like, love yourself, because if you love yourself, then you don't need the redeeming, blood of Christ. You don't need to have someone hang on a cross and die and everything. Well, guess what? He already did.
Yeah.
So,
and I hate to bring this up because this all reminds me of something that happened this week, and I, don't like to bring my personal life into all this. What? Because I'm tight.
Thank you.
God bless. And I just want to remind everyone that my friend, I'm not sure if I mentioned it before, but Claymates in Bannerman and I are dealing with a bit of an issue because There is someone that loves Halloween, and his name is Donovan Geo.
Oh, it grieves the
And
heart of God.
he has a new costume that he's been doing
Oh no.
all week long.
I don't
It's
even want to know.
Hallie, it's mid-October, and he's already dressed up every single day. He's painted himself entirely red. He wears a little pair of horns. He plays a pan flute.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
he's cut his typically, he already has a goatee, and he's got that all waxed into a point, and he's
Oh,
still in his Y fronts, and
oh,
he's walking around with a pan flute, and
oh.
he's going, "Oh, do you wanna live this deliciously?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Is he's dressed up like the devil. It looks like the devil. He's got horns, a pan flute, and he's hooves on his feet and Y fronts. He's dressed entirely in red powdered makeup.
Ew.
And I'm going, that is satanic. He says, I'm pan. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? And he's like, I'm playing a pan flute. And I'm like, what is pan? I don't even know what a pan is. And he said, it's something from like Greek mythology or something. It's just insidious,
sick
Hallie.
is
I'm
what
saying
it is.
you can't even be around popsicles with that.
And what's this new catchphrase when he's in the devil outfit?
Do you want to live deliciously?
Do you want to live deliciously?
Yeah,
Do you want to live deliciously?
It's not a catchphrase because you can't say it very.
No, you can't. The deliciously is not even a word.
Deliciously is an impossible word to say.
You can't live deliciously.
I know.
What is this, La Dolce Vita?
And then the weird thing is that, of course, this is all rubbing off on Popsicles, who wants to do his own thing, and he wants to dress like what he calls a manitor.
A manitor.
Yeah,
A manitor.
which is a horse on the top, or no, sort of like a goat on the top.
Man on top, horse in the back. A
No,
horse bottom man top.
No, he wants a horse top man bottom because he doesn't want to take off the Y fronts.
Yep.
I don't know. It's just all.
It grieves the heart. God is what it
And
does.
I'm like, Clay, this is your problem.
Yep.
That's what I say.
Yep. I mean, you know what? I hate to say this, Gray, but Clay might need to move.
Oh,
I mean, you're looking for a new place. Hopefully, maybe what you could save him if you find your new condo, then maybe he'll be able to come move in with you for a while, get him away from Donovan Geo while he looks for a new condo.
That's not going to happen, Hallie, because obviously right now I'm already having enough of a problem crashing at Clay's because there's one huge issue that I don't really want to get into, but that he just won't change.
What is it?
I hate to get into this, but he's got these fixtures in his guest bathroom that are unusable. They're so ugly. Do you know what brushed nickel is?
Well, sure.
I mean, it's disgusting. And I'm saying these look like they're from 2006 and on a bad home reno show.
Okay.
Clay's house was on a home reno show in 2006.
Is that right?
And it's just do you ever have a fixture where you go in and it just makes you sick to your stomach? That's how these are.
Mm-hmm.
You do have that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you can relate. I don't know how long I can stay there until he changes those out. And of course, if he was, ever staying with me, I would not let him speak into anything like this because he just has no taste.
Well, I'll tell you, as a married person, I can kind of speak into some of that stuff about, compromises as you go and all of that.
Yeah.
I think that you can change people. If you just focus on the thing about them that you want to change about them, you can, gently guide and coerce and direct someone in the, direction you want to lead them in. At SeaWorld, they call it give the dolphin a fish, and
Okay.
that dolphin will do that trick again. Well,
Okay.
that's all you got to do
But
with a
don't they torture the
husband or a
animals a bit?
partner or a friend. Well, I think that the animals like having easy food.
Oh.
So anyway, um, uh, I think that the whole, my kids are always telling me, Mom, it's rude to try to change people. And I'm like, hey, that's the whole plan, is for me to change every day, to die to myself and to live for Christ. You know what I mean? So I think the best thing you can do is keep working on well, in your case, it's your best friend. But for me, it's my life partner, my husband, my spouse. The more you can, the Bible says iron sharpens iron.
Right.
So the more you can change them, and we know we can change people because that's the whole point of Twin Hills Community Church. That's the whole point of, going and making disciples of all nations, is we have to let people know that there is something fundamentally wrong with them and they need to change to be like us. And I
Yeah.
think that that's okay to do in a marriage too, or a friendship in your case.
Yeah, and around something like a fixture, which is, I mean, it's in the word, right, Hallie? Fixture. Somebody who is just gonna is basically fixed on something. He just won't change. And I mean, he put it in every room in the house. There's so much brush nickel. It just drives me crazy.
For me, it's whenever there's a rug that's in a room and that's not on an angle.
Oh.
I like rugs to be on an angle.
Oh, really? I like everything to be straight.
See? So straight. Okay, let's move to another question. Gray, what are some Australian delicacies that you remember your mom bringing to a potluck as a child? And do you use the word potluck?
No, we used to say, we used to call it bring it along, or bring a plate, or bring a bowl,
Bring a bowl.
bring a bucket.
Bring a bucket.
And we used to have all sorts of really fun. I mean, we just don't have a lot of the Australian delicacies here in the United States. I don't even know if you all would know what they were.
Oh, like what?
Well, I mean, one of my favorites as a kid, at a bring a bucket, was a puff in a can.
A puff in a can?
Puff in a can. Did you ever have that?
Puff in a can?
You didn't have that?
Puff in a can?
Oh, what you would do is you would take a can, you would saw it in half, and you'd pour out half, and then you would put some, name a can of whatever.
Campbell's chicken noodle soup.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, can of chicken soup. You'd cut
Slice
the can in
half, huh?
dump out half.
Okay.
You do that with a bunch of cans.
Well, I got good knives right now, so I could cut a aluminum can right in half.
And then you would, just dump a bunch of whatever you would like to puff it up with. Cheese, puff pastry, whatever you want.
I've got so much puff stuff in my house right now. I got one of those big Costco 5 gallons of cheese puffs.
Oh yeah, that would be perfect.
Almost exclusively use them as dog treats, but I eat them too, and I like that because I can pop some in my mouth and then pop some to my Frenchies and my corgis.
So puff in a can, you would just bake a whole tray of those, and then everybody gets a little puff can that you walk around with at the Bring a Bucket.
That is so cool. I really got to go to Australia someday, man. It seems really cool there. They wanted you to talk about pavlova, maybe with no sugar, just beaten egg whites. Is that how you do it? Like, what would you do to make things be keto and paleo, Gray? Because I know, you don't really do the carbs and the sugar, do you?
Well, not anymore. I mean, when I was a
only
kid,
do carbs and sugar.
When I was a kid, I surprisingly didn't look like this, Hallie. Because, my family would only eat all this crap that we eat in Australia. But there are,
is that right?
Yeah, they would just, in Australia, that even if it's meat, we would like to put sugar on it.
Is that right?
So you have a bit of wombat, you're going to put a bit of sugar. You have a little koala, you're going to put a bit of sugar. You have a puffin, you're going to put a bit of sugar. If you have,
you eat koalas?
Oh, we eat everything in Australia,
Is that
Hallie.
right?
Yeah.
Are they good?
They taste better the more endangered they are.
I wonder if I could feed Lance Labont some koala, because he can't have animal protein, but aren't they a marsupial or something?
Oh, that's a good
I don't think
question.
that's an animal.
Yeah, a lot of times, well, if it's a marsupial, a lot of times we'll cook it in their own milk.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's delicious.
Mm.
And so like a milk dud in Australia, that's just
I
a
love
marsupial.
milk duds.
No, but in Australia, that's a pelletized marsupial of any kind that you cook in its own milk.
Oh, so is it protein?
Yeah, I guess it
The
would be.
milk duds are pure protein there?
Yeah.
Oh, I would love that.
Yep. So yeah, those are some of the things that we eat, but it's really the spirit behind a potluck or a bring a bucket is that we're all eating together, we're all
Awesome.
fellowshipping together,
Awesome.
and in the case of my family, who I don't really speak to anymore, it was all about coming together and having a giant fight about whatever the heck they.
Well, you know what? Jesus said, leave your family and follow me.
Oh, I did.
And I think you're following that one to a T.
Absolutely.
Wow. Here's a question along these lines. As long as we got you thinking about the keto and paleo and, getting your protein stuff, Gray, I've always been uncomfortable with the Lord's Supper because bread and wine symbolize Jesus, but it's carbs and alcohol. That can't be good for the body, but I hear the Catholics turn carbs and alcohol into pure protein during their Eucharist, which sounds much better, but I mean, it's Catholic for Pete's sake. I just want to know what's the best way to build the body of Christ. Could we try experimenting with transubstantiation at Twin Hills?
No, absolutely not.
Good
We're not going to do
question.
that.
I don't know if we could at Twin Hills. I
We're
mean,
not
we
gonna
got a pretty
experiment
good
with transubstantiation.
communion program.
Yeah.
I think our stuff tastes great.
I mean,
love when we have
transubstantiation, it says trans
communication.
and sub in it, and I think those are words that we don't really even need to have in our vocabulary.
Oh, really? Sub?
Yeah.
I loved it. I love a sub. I
I
will go ham on a sub. Is that a bad word? I get down on a sub. I go crazy on a sub.
Right.
I'll
Anyway,
get a 6-inch sub. I'll get a 12-inch sub.
Hallie, anytime you've mentioned inches today, I've gotten a bit uncomfortable. So, here's the thing. I would say, and I have done this, especially in Climax, because a lot of times in Climax Youth Ministry, I'm reminding the teens, look, you all have to think about what you're eating, okay? Because we don't want you eating all this fat and this sugar, and you're not going to look good. And if you don't look good, then you're not really representing the body of Christ. And so I have moved all of whenever I give communion at Climax, it's got a 0 carb loaf that we use now.
Oh, wow.
It is awesome, Hallie. And, of course, we don't use wine at Twin Hills. We use a really high-end grape juice.
It's delicious.
It's so good, but there is some sugar content in it.
Yep.
So now I am using basically a no sugar grape juice. And it's just important to remind teens that I'm always reminding them about what they're eating and what their bodies look like, and really just hammering that into them, especially during communion.
I know these kids now, they have some idea that you should just never comment on anyone's body or appearance ever for
What?
any reason whatsoever. And it's like, well, I mean, that the next thing you know, if you do that, if you're not allowed to comment on what you see when you're looking at somebody, then the next thing you know, they're going to start walking around naked or something, or wear a skirt so short that their buns are hanging out the back of it. You
Right.
know what I mean? There has to be a certain amount of policing going on, but my kids are always like, well, late stage capitalism makes everyone feel so overwhelmed and out of control that now we police each other's language.
Blah, blah.
And I'm like, yeah, you're policing my language by, not letting me try to make disciples of all nations by witnessing to everyone I see, low key. And before we go, I do just want to say that anyone listening, we are in that wonderful time of year at Twin Hills where you are able to dedicate a seat in the auditorium.
Oh
to
yeah, we're
your
having
family.
a capital campaign right now.
You can get a bronze plaque, a little bronze plaque that kind of looks like a dog tag that will get soldered on, probably by my daughter, to the seat of your choice in the auditorium. Seats, close to the bullpen where Steve sits, are going for a pretty penny.
That's true. And Hallie, we need to remind everyone that this is a capital campaign that we do every year. We raise $1 million cash, no strings attached, and we call it the Steve Fund. It is a perfect way to raise an amount of money that is only for what Steve decides he needs it for. Because if there's one person that knows what the church needs, it's Steve. He started the church. He's the genius behind Twin Hills.
It's honestly my favorite thing about fall is that Steve comes back from his reading break where, he goes to his lake house and takes the boat out on the lake.
Awesome.
And he can hear God out there. He goes out and he gets quiet and still.
And it's not that he checks out. We had a leadership meeting the other day, and Steve called in from the back of a jet ski. It was hard to hear him, but it was so great to see him, relaxing but still engaged.
And that wasn't his fault that the call didn't really work. It was the motor was so loud.
Why jet ski so loud?
I know it was the motor. It wasn't Steve's fault, but
so yeah, you can get a seat dedicated. You can put anything you want on that little plaque. You can dedicate it to someone. And I think that was so nice to see that we reached the goal, no problem.
And our auditorium seats are world class.
Oh,
I mean,
they lean back.
They lean back. They recline. They're fully cushioned.
Yep.
The armrests are cushioned.
Made by Lazy Boy.
It is.
Or in our case, Praisey Boy.
And we have like a Tempur-Pedic, cushion inside there.
Yeah.
This is like people walk out of our services like, I haven't felt this good in months,
Yeah, and sometimes they can be a little too comfortable, can't they, Hallie?
Yeah, I mean, but luckily we don't have too many older members of our congregation.
Yep.
So, we don't have that many people falling asleep, but we got vibrators in those chairs so that if we are showing something on the iMeg screens that looks like you're in a roller coaster or whatever, you can kind of make the seats, tip back and, like you're in a Dave and Buster's
and I don't
game
like
or
to use
something.
the word vibrate. I just call them small moving chair, a little bit of a movement can happen. And they have great sound built into the seats. Basically it wraps around your ears so you can really hear everything.
They don't have cup holders, but they do have communion holders.
Right.
So it's
and a Bible
tiny,
holder,
tiny cup holder,
and an iPad for if you want to look up anything on the Bible. And they're great. And those seats are only in our VIP section and only really available for those who are going to contribute to the capital campaign. Did we do it?
Oh man, we just made the seats at Twin Hills insane.
Just in the VIP section.
Oh, okay.
And I recorded it. Look at that.
Okay, we did it. Goodness gracious.
Thanks for joining, you people. Did anybody win bingo? Was anybody playing bingo?
Was there bingo?
Yeah. Thanks so much. We love reading back through your comments. Hallie's 10-inch cleavage really got me. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Are we gonna edit out that break?
No, of course not.
Oh yes, now we get to go have breakfast burritos.
We're gonna have some breakfast burritos. Thanks everyone for joining us for another live stream. It's so fun to do these. If you could hit the little thumbs up thing and sub to the channel, it helps us so much. 10 inches is now canon for sure. And if you want to add some suggestions to the Patreon, head on over to Patreon. We're 11 people away. Is that what I said? From hitting 420. And that's when we do the Getting Mega with High stream, which will be very, very silly. So nice to see familiar faces in here and some new people too. Thanks for joining us.
Do you guys ever want to do this where it's not an episode, where we do more like a mini and like talk as ourselves? Would you want to do one of these like this, or do you like it being the
a mini? Do a mini episode on YouTube? We need to just do a mini episode on the Patreon, but we could do that on. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Happy Halloween almost. We'll see you before Halloween, right? What's today's date? I don't even know. Halloween's in 2 weeks.
What is God? October 13th.
Where does the time go? And yeah, thanks for joining us. Everybody's the coolest.
Did we go long enough to get it an hour?
Oh yeah, we're right on an hour.
Okay.
Thanks everybody.
I hope you have a great Sunday. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next Sunday.
We'll see you next
same
Sunday.
Time, same place.
I hope you enjoyed the mega episode that came out today.
Oh yeah, great episode today. And we'll also put it up on the YouTube if you want to watch it.
It's gonna be a good one.
See y'all.